السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Today we will speak about inverse trigonometric function. To speak about inverse trigonometric function, let's remind ourselves about what is the inverse, which we discussed it in section 4.1. Inverse function, we have for the inverse function, we said if y equals to the inverse of x, that is if under the f, x equal to f at y, provided f of x is 1 to 1. Remember, sine function and cosine function is not 1 to 1, but in a restricted domain, if this is pi over 2, this is pi minus pi over 2 minus pi. We know for sine function, as sine 0 is 0, sine pi over 2 is 1, sine minus pi over 2 is minus 1. Only this part of the graph will be taken, which is x should be, oh sorry, it will be y should be between, anyway, it's x should be between, for the function, between minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. But when we change x to y, say for example here, x is replaced by y, so we will say y should be between minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. That's the restriction. Similarly for cosine function, to restrict it, we will take this is y over 2, that's y at 0, it was 1, then 0 at pi over 2, then minus 1. So we will take only this part of the graph. Again here, if we are speaking about y equal to cosine x, our x should be between 0 and pi. But if we are speaking about the inverse, we are changing x with y, so we will say cosine inverse of x equal to y. That will mean x should be cosine y. In this case, our y should be between 0 and pi. Now, going to the definition of the inverse, we have two types of functions. One of them is defined between minus pi over 2 to pi over 2, which is basically that is quadrant number 1 and quadrant number 4. And here it's a quadrant 1 and quadrant number 2. Basically, that can be summarized in the following graph. If we are speaking about sine inverse, we don't have quadrant 3 in all cases. If it is positive, all of them here. If we speak about sine inverse or tan inverse, if it is negative, it must be there. Of course, when I say sine inverse, means cosecant inverse together with also the sine. If we are speaking about cosine inverse or cotangent inverse, and of course, you know, cosine inverse is going to be with the secant inverse. If it is negative, will be quadrant number 2. That's easier to memorize. Since we have sine inverse here, sine is not negative, so it must be quadrant number 4. If we speak about cosine inverse, cosine here is positive, so we don't need positive, we need negative to be in quadrant number 2. Going to practical questions, all the time we will call it any letter. Let's say let alpha to be tan inverse of root 3. That will mean tan alpha is equal to square root of 3. And since it is positive, alpha must be in quadrant number 1. So actually we are answering this question. Which angle has tangent equal to root 3? So we can go to the two famous triangles we had. This is pi over 6, and that's pi over 3. This is 2, 1 square root of 3. And we have the second triangle, which is pi over 4 or 45, pi over 4, 1 square root of 2. Remember, he said I want it in radian. So we will say tan alpha means opposite over adjacent. So which one has opposite is root 3. Definitely pi over 3 has opposite root 3 over adjacent, which is 1. So that will mean alpha is equal to pi over 3. And that means tan inverse of root 3 is equal to pi over 3. Now, repeating the same idea, we will say let alpha to be cotangent inverse of 1. So that will mean cotangent alpha is equal to 1, and alpha must be in quadrant number 1 because it's positive. So if I say cotangent is 1, means which angle has cotangent is 1. If we go to the triangles we had, the famous triangles, this is pi over 6, that's pi over 3, this is 2, 1 square root of 3. None of them will give me cotangent alpha, which is actually adjacent over opposite, will give me 1. The only one will give me 1, it's the pi over 4 angle, because that's pi over 4, that is pi over 4, this is 1 square root of 2. So cotangent is adjacent divided by opposite. So this will mean alpha is equal to pi over 4, which means cotangent inverse of 1 is equal to pi over 4. Now, here again, we will say let alpha is equal to secant inverse of 2 root 3 over 3. That will mean secant alpha is equal to 2 root 3 over 3. We can simplify this one by multiplying by the conjugate root 3 and root 3. That will be 2 times 3 over 3 root 3. 3 will be cancelled out and you will get 2 over square root of 3. And that will mean cosine alpha is root 3 over 2. Of course, alpha must be in quadrant number 1 if it is positive. So we go to the triangle now, and it's clear we will get it from this triangle pi over 6, pi over 3. This is 2, 1 square root of 3. And remember, cosine means adjacent by hypotenuse. So which one is adjacent is equal to root 3? That's definitely pi over 6 has adjacent root over 3. So it will be alpha must be equal to pi over 6. So that means secant inverse of 2 root 3 over 3 will be pi over 6. Now, again here we will say let alpha to be tan inverse of root 3 over 3. That will mean tan alpha is equal to root 3 over 3, which means we can write it, if we multiply it by conjugate again, root 3 over root 3, we will get it's 3 over 3 root 3 is equal to tan alpha. So tan alpha will be 3 over 3 root 3, which is 1 over root 3. As we said, alpha must be in quadrant number 1 because it's positive. So again, we will ask ourselves, which from the triangle, which one will give me tan is equal to 1 over root 3. So we remember tan alpha means opposite over adjacent. So which one has opposite is 1, adjacent is root 3, and you will see it's actually pi over 6 has opposite 1, adjacent root 3. So alpha will be again pi over 6. Now, similarly, we have when alpha is equal to cosine inverse of 1/2, that will mean cosine alpha is 1/2. It must be in quadrant number 1, and that is from the triangle. This is pi over 6, that's pi over 3, 2, 1 square root over 3. So we will say cosine alpha means adjacent over hypotenuse. So which one has adjacent is 1? Is it pi over 6 or pi over 3? And clearly adjacent of 1, it's pi over 3. So it's 1 over 2. So this means alpha is pi over 3, and that will mean cosine inverse of 1/2 is pi over 3. Now, if we go to composite of two functions, we have to be careful here. If our x is inside the sine inverse, so our x must be between -1 and 1 to say sine of sine inverse of x is equal to x. And same thing with cosine inverse. If x is inside cosine inverse, so composite of two functions will be x, provided x must be between -1 and 1. Not all the time, only with the restriction from -1 to 1. For tan inverse, tan inverse of x will be always x for any real number. Now, if x is inside the sine, so our restriction, x must be between -pi over 2 and pi over 2. Similarly for tan, but for cosine, if x is inside cosine, it must be between 0 and pi. It's very important to know this is true only with the restriction. Now, if I have sine inverse of sine 2, is it equal to 2? The answer is no, not 2. Why? Because I need 2 first to be between -pi over 2 and less than pi over 2. And that's not true, because that's -3.14 over 2. And that's 3.14 over 2. Definitely 2 is not smaller than that one. So this is not true. This is false statement. So that means this is sine inverse of sine 2. It is undefined because it's violating the condition. When it will be true? When I have sine inverse of, let's say, sine pi over 6. Now, this is equal to pi over 6. Why? Because pi over 6, it's between -pi over 2 and pi over 2. This is true. This is, yes, it is true. That's why these are equal. Also, it will be true if I have sine of sine inverse of 1/2. That will be 1/2, because now x is inside the inverse and 1/2 must be between -1 and 1. I hope that has to be clear enough. The sine of sine inverse or cosine of cosine inverse √3 over 2 will be √3 over 2, provided √3 over 2 must be between -1 and 1. Of course, root 3 over 2, it is smaller than 1. But when we say cosine inverse, cosine of cosine inverse of 4, that is not equal to 4. That's undefined because 4 does not belong to the interval x between -1 and 1. Now, but here it's a bit different. Here it's not the same. This is cosine, that's secant inverse. Now, what is cosine of secant inverse? So we will say, we will let alpha to be secant inverse. And what is wanted if you say alpha is wanted, if you call this one alpha, what is wanted is what is cosine alpha? So if I have secant alpha is equal to secant inverse of 2, that will mean secant alpha is equal to 2, and that means cosine alpha is upside down, which is 1/2. So that means cosine of secant inverse of 2 is equal to 1/2. So that's what is wanted, and that's what is found. Now, here I want to find what is sine inverse of cosine minus 2 pi over 3. Here we have several stages. First of all, we have to know cosine of minus beta is equal to cosine beta. This means cosine of minus 2 pi over 3 is equal to cosine 2 pi over 3. So that is cosine 2 pi over 3 because it's odd, even, because it is even function. Now, 2 pi over 3, what's the reference angle for 2 pi over 3? Remember, 2 pi over 3 should be smaller than 3 pi over 3, which is pi. So that has to be 2 pi over 3. So the reference angle will be pi over 3, and we know cosine of 2 pi over 3 should equal to negative of cosine pi over 3, which means that should be equal to sine inverse of negative cosine pi over 3. Now, from the triangle, this is pi over 6. That's pi over 3. This is 2 1 square root of 3. Cosine pi over 3, it's 1/2. So I will have that is sine inverse of minus 1/2. Now, I will say let alpha to be equal to sine inverse of minus 1/2, and that will mean sine alpha is equal to minus 1/2. Now, regarding the minus sign, will give me alpha must be in a quadrant number 4. Remember, sine inverse is negative only in a quadrant number what? 4, because we don't have a quadrant number 3. So forget now about the minus sign. Which angle will give you sine is equal to 1/2? The angle which gives me sine is 1/2. Sine means opposite. Which one is opposite 1? It's pi over 6. Has opposite 1 over hypotenuse. So basically, that's the angle we are looking for, which is alpha is equal to negative pi over 6, negative of pi over 6. Okay, so the minus sign will say it is in quadrant number 4, but what is the quantity from the triangle? Its opposite is 1, adjacent, hypotenuse is 2. So it's the answer is minus pi over 6, which means sine inverse of cosine minus 2 pi over 3, it's equal to minus pi over 6. Now, if we say secant, let alpha equal to secant inverse of minus root 2, that will mean secant alpha is equal to minus root 2. Again, that means cosine alpha is equal to minus 1 over root 2. We said alpha must be a quadrant number what? 2, because we don't have quadrant 3. Cosine negative must be a quadrant number 2 if we deleted quadrant number 3. So This means this is a quadrant number 2. This is what I want, but what I will get from the triangle, I will get this one. So which one, forget about the negative now, which one will give me cosine is equal to 1 over root 2, and that's clear, it's the pi over 4, because pi over 4, I have 1 square root of 2. So if this is pi over 4, what I want? It will be pi minus pi over 4, which is 3 pi over 4. So we will say secant inverse of minus root 2 is equal to 3 pi over 4. So the minus sign will give me the location only. Now, again, here I have let alpha to be cosine inverse of minus root 3 over 2. So we said that means cosine alpha is equal to minus root 3 over 2, and that will give me alpha must be in a quadrant number 2. Remember, quadrant number 2 means I want, what's that one? But what I will get from the triangle is the reference angle. The reference angle, what is it? This is pi over 6. That's pi over 3. This is 2, 1 square root of 3. So which one will give me adjacent root 3? That is pi over 6. So how to calculate what we want? It's pi minus pi over 6, which is 5 pi over 6. So that will mean cosine inverse of minus root 3 divided by 2 must be equal to 5 pi over 6. This will end up our section of inverse trigonometric functions. I wish you the best, and thanks for watching this video.